I like to think of my body dysmorphia as this shadow, and it always lurks in every single room I'm in. It's always there. But I get to decide whether that room is so bright that I can barely even notice it, or whether I turn off the lights and I make it so dark that it overwhelms me, that it becomes me. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube video. If you've not watched my videos before, then hi, my name is Fleur. This is your space for all things self-development, where we focus on growth, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Two things, a little disclaimer. Number one, I don't know if you see my community post, but I left my camera at home, so I'm currently using my phone to film this video. I wasn't able to get a video out last Sunday, but I thought I would try my best to try and get one out this Sunday. And then number two, if you don't know where I am, I'm currently at my grandparents' house, so that's why the background is a little bit different. But anyways, yeah, let's get straight into the discussion. I wanted to have an honest and raw conversation with you guys about all things eating disorders and body dysmorphia. And you know what's so ironic is that the first video I ever made for YouTube was 2 years ago in June, and it was all about body dysmorphia. Although I have become so much better with it, it is still something that I am struggling with every single day, and I am so sick of being silent about it. I just thought I'd need to be honest. Now, before we get started into the proper video, I thought I would give a little bit of a backstory as to my own journey with having two different types of eating disorders. 7 years ago, back in 2018, 2019, I was diagnosed with both anorexia and bulimia. Now, trigger warnings. If you don't feel that you are at the stage of your healing to be listening to this conversation, then I will put up the time on the screen where I'm talking about how I managed to recover from this and my new mindset on food. But if you don't think that you are in the right time and place to actually be listening to this video, then I would definitely recommend not watching it until you are. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with both bulimia and anorexia, and I at the time was told by my doctor that I would have to see a therapist, and I ignored it for like roughly a year because I thought that it was something that I could heal and deal with myself, and I was so wrong. I couldn't be further from the truth with that. And eventually it got to a point where I realized that if I didn't get help, then I would only be going downhill. So I said to my mom, okay, you know what? I think it's a good time for me to go to a therapist, and I did. And I was basically educated about my eating disorder, and it sort of scared me out of like pushing myself to lose more weight than I'd already had, because I'd actually lost 10 kilograms in just 2 weeks alone. And if I'd lost around 3 to 4 kilograms more, I would have been admitted into hospital, and that thought really scared me, and I did everything I could to force myself to eat, but it was so difficult. This is actually the hardest thing for me to talk about, which is why I haven't made a YouTube video about it, because I have been so nervous just about being honest about what I went through. And I guess I just don't like labels. I'm one of those people, I hate mental health labels. I hate to the fact that that was a massive part of my life, and I feel that the reason why I even went into one in the first place is because I wanted control of my life, and the only way I could do that at that time in my life was to basically control my food and my relationship with food. I just went down this really long and hard journey of just hating my body, and for roughly like 2-3 years I was excessively working out every day, barely eating, and whenever I did eat, I would just end up getting rid of it. I had such a bad relationship with myself that it just haunted me, and it got so bad that there were a few times I genuinely didn't want to live anymore, because I couldn't stand the thought of me proceeding with life only ever caring and thinking about food. It was my every single thought, and I just don't think that is talked about enough how damaging eating disorders can be. Like, it ruins your life, it takes away your identity, it takes away your excitement for the present and the future, it takes away anything that there is to love about life, because you are drained, you are so tired, you're cold all the time. Dependent on how much weight you've lost, you feel so weak, you feel so vulnerable. You don't know how to have fun anymore. You don't want to go to the sleepovers with your friends because you don't want to have the pizza. You don't want to go to the parties. You don't want to do this. You lose years of your life just staying in your room, hating yourself, hating your body. And it is so sad. And it took me so much to get from where I was then to where I am today. What ended up happening is when COVID was announced and we had to stay at home, I was basically forced with the fact that my kitchen was right underneath me and it was there the whole day, because what I would do is I'd go to school and I just would not eat all day. And then what ended up happening is COVID happened and I was forced to eat. I gained weight and it was not an easy journey. It took me a lot, and there were a lot of times where I would relapse, where I would go a few months where I wouldn't have made myself thrown up, and then I would go and do it. And like with anything, like, recovery is not an easy journey, and there will be times where you are relapsing, and that is just part of the recovery, that is just part of the journey. But I think that my eating disorder became me, so much so that I didn't even know who I was anymore. And it took me so long to get my identity back and to build the pieces of myself and put them back together. I want this video to be a sense of hope and to be a message to specifically the people that are going through what I went through. I want you to know that you aren't alone and that there is a way out, even if it doesn't feel like there is. So now that I've shared my backstory, let's get into my healing journey and ways that I think you can heal as someone who has suffered from an eating disorder, and how you can heal your relationship with food again. So the number one thing that I would say is that you have to separate your identity from your eating disorder. I like to think of my body dysmorphia as this shadow, and it always lurks in every single room I'm in. It's always there. But I get to decide whether that room is so bright that I can barely even notice it, or whether I turn off the lights and I make it so dark that it overwhelms me, that it becomes me. I get to decide the power that it has over me. And for so much of my life, I let my eating disorder define me. I let it become me. I let those thoughts that ran through my head take over. It was so loud, I didn't even know what my own voice sounded like anymore. It was just this like demonic sound of like, do this and do that, or don't do this or don't do that, or you can't go out with them because of this, you have to do this, or you have to do that, you haven't worked out yet today, or you need to do 10,000 steps, or you need to go on this walk, or you need to do that. It was too much. And one day I just said, you just go, like, just leave. I don't want you here. Like, I'm sorry. Who do you think you are to have that much control over me? This is my brain. This is my body. This is my life. And you do not control that. And you have to take control. You cannot be weak against this voice. Okay, I'm going to be a little bit tough with you right now. You cannot be weak against this voice. You have to be in control. You have to be the powerful one. And I know you feel weak. I know you feel vulnerable, but the only person that can take you out of this is you, not the doctors, not the hospital, not your family, not your friends. They will want you so badly to get better. And I always used to get the question of, do you seriously like the way that you look right now? Like, there's nothing to you. You're literally bones. And I would say, no. The whole point of an eating disorder is that I hate the way I look and I hate myself, and that does not change whether I eat or I don't eat. It is an embedded belief. And until you change that belief, until you take control, your life will not change. No one can save you. No one can save you. The only person that can save you is yourself. And if you don't decide to be your savior, then you will be a prisoner for the rest of your life. And I've seen that. I know people that are in their 70s and 80s and still have an eating disorder. And do you know how sad it is that they have lived their whole life hating themselves and not being allowed to live, not being allowed to have that ice cream when they're on holiday, not being allowed to eat the pizza when they're with their friends? Do you know how sad that is, that they have had to control every aspect of their life just because they didn't feel that they were worthy enough to stand up for themselves? I don't want that to be you, and I don't want that to be me, and that will not be us. We will not live that life, because we are worthy of so much more than that. We are worthy of so much more, and the only person that can tell you that is you. So please, please stand up for yourself. Please take back those years. Don't lose any more, because every day that you decide to let that voice win, you are losing a day you could have lived your life to the fullest. But you cannot live the life to your fullest if you don't realize that A, you are worthy, B, your body does not define you, and C, that food is fuel. That you literally cannot function as a human being if you do not realize that without food, you cannot be alive. That is what keeps you alive, and you are trying to take it away from yourself. And when I realized that, it generally just snapped logic in me, because when you have an eating disorder or body dysmorphia, there is no logic. I'm sorry, but there is logic thrown out the window. Like, the things that you think in your brain don't even make sense. Like, I used to say to the voice in my head, I'd be like, what the hell are you even saying right now? Like, can you hear yourself? You idiot. Like, can you actually hear yourself? Like, what? Like, I tried so hard to decenter it from me. Like, I pretended it was just someone else, like this different version. Not even me, like not even attachment to me. I would just be like, please go away. And you're not even benefiting my life. It's like when you keep someone toxic into your life, and then the minute they leave, you realize you were so much better off without them. That is your eating disorder. You cannot see how much better your life is going to be when it is no longer in your life. I cannot stress that enough. Your life is going to completely change. You are going to completely change when you decide that you are in control and that nothing can define your worth. I feel like that was a lot more than one thing. Like, that was 2, 3, 4 things. But the second thing I would say is that you just have to push yourself to do things that you're not comfortable with doing. Like with anything in life, if you do not push yourself out of your comfort zone, you cannot change as a person. And I know that change is scary, but what is even scarier is not changing. Also, there is literally someone that keeps walking outside and staring into the window. Like, my guy, you okay? Why are you walking back and forth? You need to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And that means, like, for me, I had like specific trigger foods. Like, I had a list of foods that I didn't want to eat, and it went so far that I actually hadn't eaten those foods in like years. And I just would slowly but surely push myself to eat those trigger foods slowly, okay? Don't have a whole pizza to yourself, because that is just going to trigger you badly. But maybe have half a slice, and then a full slice, and then 2 slices, and then 3 slices, and then 5 slices, and then a whole pizza. And you're doing it very slowly, like over the course of months or even longer. You have to be gentle with yourself and not throw yourself into the deep end, but also don't keep yourself too comfortable. So I'd say that is a big, important step. Number 3 is also just to educate yourself. Like I said, that was the main reason why I came out of my eating disorder, especially because I had lost my period for roughly about a year and a half. And I remember my doctor saying to me that if I had carried on the way that I was going to lose the ability to give birth, like to have my own children. And that actually was generally one of the reasons why I came out of it, because I was like, what the hell am I doing to myself? Not only am I stealing my chance to have a life, I am stealing my chance to give life to other people, to create life. And when I educated myself through having a therapist, which if you don't have one, I definitely suggest that you do get a therapist, because they will help you to professionally get your way out of this. When you educate yourself, whether it be your own research or the research that your therapist does with you, it allows your mind to logically, because remember, there is no logic here, it allows your mind to logically understand why this is not a good idea, why this is not a sane idea, why you need to gain back that control. The only way that you can gain back that control is by understanding why you need to gain back that control in the first place. And to understand that, what do you need? Knowledge. You need to understand. You need to understand what this eating disorder is. Like, imagine it as this like person, or like I said, a shadow. You need to understand why they are there in the first place. And once you understand them, it will be so much easier to get them to go away, to get them to leave, okay? But you cannot do that. You cannot gain control if you do not understand. It's a bit like if you were to do like a competition, right? You need to understand your component before you try and defeat them. You need to understand them and have knowledge of them as much as you understand and have knowledge of yourself, so that you know the best ways to defeat that person. It is the same thing with mental health, eating disorders, anxiety, depression. You cannot defeat these said things until you know about them, so much so that you can defeat them, you can overcome them, you can be more powerful than them. So I educated myself, and I'm not saying scare yourself, I'm not saying you need to do that, I'm just saying educate yourself so that you know what you're working with, and then when you know what you're working with, it's so much easier to push it away. And sometimes that does mean knowing the scary facts, like this could potentially take away your ability to have children if you are a woman, or just the things like that honestly scare you but help you to understand why you shouldn't be there. Number 4 is, or something that I wish I didn't do, is don't throw yourself into exercise during your recovery. Because this is something I did, and I don't think that helped me, and now I have a really unhealthy relationship with the gym. That is like a completely separate topic. So if you would like to see me talk about my relationship with the gym and my relationship with working out, then put that down in the comments below and I will definitely do a video on that. But that is a separate topic. If you throw yourself straight into exercising, you are going to become obsessed with the exercise, and you will pretend like you are doing it for your mental health and for serotonin and blah, 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 but you aren't. Okay, be serious with me right now. Be serious with yourself. Do you seriously think that you going to the gym 7 times a week is for your mental health? Or is it to lose weight? Or is it to use it as an excuse to be able to eat all of the trigger foods but then sweat them all off? Because between you and me, that is literally why I was going to the gym. I was so obsessed with it. But that was the only reason why, so that I could use it as my excuse, so that I could know that if I had ice cream, I would just go to the gym the next day and work it off. But that is not how it works. So please give yourself a chance to just not be obsessed with exercise. And if you have to take a year or 2 off of it, then do so. I really wish I did that, because then I wouldn't have the obsession that I have with it now. But for example, like the past 2 weeks, I've not been able to go to the gym because I've been visiting family. And then next week I'm going to Spain. And I feel like this was great for me, because although my mind is literally going into stress mode right now, it's saying, oh my god, you can't go to the gym, you can't get that fit body for summer, you can't lose weight, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm just saying, go away. Stop. Be quiet. My body is not defined by the amount of times I work out in a week. Go away. And you need to keep saying it. You just need to keep saying it. Go away, go away, go away, go away, go away. Honestly, just keep saying it in your mind. Just go away. Honestly, go away. You have that power. So don't throw yourself into exercise. The 5th thing I would recommend is to always have someone to lean on, especially people that know. One thing I love about Ginny and Georgia, if you haven't watched that, then sorry to spoil this, but it's not really a spoiler. It's just one thing that one of the characters says. Actually, it's the therapist that says this to Ginny when she is struggling with self-harm. The therapist says that secrets are powerful, and that the more people that know about your secrets, the less likely you are to do that said thing. And this is so real. I have never thought of it this way before, but it's so true, because the more people I told about my eating disorder, the less times I wanted to give into it. And not necessarily because I felt embarrassed, but because I wanted to not only prove to myself, but to prove that to them that I was recovering, because it was annoying. When you have an eating disorder, literally everyone in your life is analyzing your every move. My boyfriend at the time, he was really stressed for me and was literally doing everything he possibly could to help me get out of it, but he was analyzing my every move with food, and so was my mom. And on top of that, my every move with going to the bathroom. I couldn't just go to the bathroom anymore to just go to the bathroom. It was, Fleur, why are you going to the bathroom? I need to be outside the door. I need to be this. I need to be that. People analyze your every single move because they're scared for you. And that's great. They love you and they should be doing that. They should be worried about you. But it makes you feel like you're in the zoo. And everyone is just looking at you, and it is stressful. But at the same time, I feel like that's great, because then it makes you not do that said thing. The less people that know about it, the more likely your eating disorder is going to feel powerful. When you put your eating disorder on display, you're making it feel vulnerable. You're making it like feel weak. You're making it like become small, like go down, become that like small shadow in the room. And it's almost like every person you tell, you're making the room brighter. Like you're pressing on that light switch. You're going, oh my God, let's make the room so bright that we can't even notice that the shadow is there. But the less people that know, the more the shadow grows, the smaller you become, the bigger your eating disorder is, the louder it becomes, and the cycle will repeat. So I love that quote. Secrets are powerful. It is so true. Tell people, have people on your side, and every time you can feel yourself relapsing, or every time you can feel yourself just needing someone to lean on, go speak to that person. Tell them. I know it's scary. I remember, I think the first person I ever told about my eating disorder was my ex, because we were very close friends, and at that time in my life, he had noticed the traits of it. He could tell that I would, like, he would always try and offer me food and I'd say no. Like he could tell that it was a big aspect of my life, and he knew about it before I even told him. And then when I eventually did tell him, he was very kind about it, and he was just always there for me. And I feel like it was very difficult for me to be vulnerable because it's embarrassing. Like, it is embarrassing to share your deepest secrets, I guess, and especially having an eating disorder, you feel embarrassed 24/7 because it's almost like it's something that you are choosing to inflict on yourself, and that feels embarrassing. So it's not easy to tell someone how you feel about your body and about food. But when I did it, it became so much easier to tell other people, and eventually, like now, I could easily tell someone, yeah, I suffered with an eating disorder, because it's not a part of me anymore. I think the harder it is to tell someone about the truth of your life, the more powerful it is inside of you, and the easier it becomes to tell other people about that said thing, the less power it has. So tell people, lean on people, allow people to help you. Don't get angry at people. That would be another thing that I would say, like, don't get angry at people for trying to help you. I know it's so easy to get angry at people, and if you are somebody watching this video that wants to help someone that has an eating disorder, there are ways to go around it, because I would definitely say that it's so difficult to help someone with an eating disorder, and you just can't mention food, okay? If you want to help someone with an eating disorder, you can't mention food. That's like their number one enemy. It's not going to help, and I know that's so hard to do, but you just can't. Don't mention their body, don't mention their weight, and don't mention food. Be there for them, but be there in a way where it doesn't feel like you're honing down on them and analyzing their every single move. Try and not challenge them. I promise you, they don't want to be having that eating disorder just as much as you don't want them to be having that eating disorder. So you need to be very careful with the way that you talk to them, with the things that you say to them, and don't challenge them all the time. Just be there for them like you would for anyone else who's going through something hard in their life. The eating disorder is no different. Be there for them. Say that you are a shoulder to lean on, that you will always be there to hear them out, but don't put too much pressure on them to change or to eat food. Like, whenever someone would pressure me to eat, it would just make it so much worse. It's so hard, but the only person that can get them out of it is them. And so there is nothing that you can do to change that. And I know it sucks so much to see this person almost withering away, but you can't change that. Unfortunately, you don't have the power to do that. They are the only one that has that power, and all you can do is hope that they see that as well, and that they begin to see their worth just as much as you see their worth. Okay, so for the last part of this video, I would like to talk about how I have tried to have a more positive mindset towards food. And we are going on 5 years now since I have recovered from my eating disorder, which is a really crazy thing for me to say. And although I relapsed quite a few times, and I will be honest with you guys, recently I nearly relapsed, but I didn't, and I proved to myself that I'm strong now. And it is hard, but I will say, when you decide to say no to that sudden urge to relapse, that is when you can see that you're progressing. And so yeah, it's coming up to summer, and I just thought that it was the best time for me to talk about how you can have a more positive relationship with food and your body during the summertime, because this is the time of comparison. I swear to God, it's the time of comparison. And I'm going on holiday next week, like I just said, and all I can think in my head is how much I don't want to be in a swimsuit, and how much I don't want my body to be on display at the beach, and how I'm scared about eating all of this like fun food, because you're going out more, you're eating more food, you have your body more on display, and it is scary. But I just want you to know that I'm so proud of you. Because if you are currently in your recovery right now, although it's not going to be easy, you are every single day taking one step closer to becoming a stronger version of yourself, and that is something that you should be proud of. That is something that I always rant about on my channel. I always want my videos to be able to help people to get one step closer to where it is to where they want to get to. So, okay, let's quick fire. Number 1, food is fuel. I said that earlier, but I want you to write that down somewhere, whether it be on your phone, on a sticky paper. Just write it down somewhere and put it somewhere that you will always see. Food is fuel. It is not your enemy. It is there to nourish you. And when you realize that, it becomes so much easier. Number 2, have a balance. You don't have to always be eating the trigger foods, but I definitely do think it is important to incorporate them into your life every now and then so that you can show your body that you're not trying to close yourself off from eating them. So for me, I follow the 80-20 balance, where I'm eating nourishing meals 80% of the time, and then the 20% of the time I am allowing myself to have the ice cream, to have the cookies, to have the chips, to do this, to do that. And I think that's very important because I still struggle with eating my trigger foods even to this day. I still struggle with it, but the more I push myself to do it, the easier it becomes. And it is going to be a long journey, but it is going to be so worth it, because when I get to the other end of this, I am going to be so strong, and I want to be able to help people along that journey. So try and eat your trigger foods, but don't push yourself to eat them all the time if you know you can't do that. Number 3, unfollow anyone that is making you believe that you have to look a certain way or that your worth is defined by your body. I want you to go through all of those accounts that I know you were following during this era of believing that you have to always be eating this kind of food and starving yourself in this way, or being skinny, or doing this or doing that. Unfollow them. Block. Unfollow them. Get them the hell out. We don't want to see them anymore. I don't want to see them on your For You page. I want there to just be positive videos, positive influencers. I love Spencer. If you do not follow Spencer, please follow her. She's such a beautiful woman, and she always talks about body positivity, and I feel like we need to be following more people like her. There need to be more people like her, because I feel like, especially with the rise of skinny talk, I actually did a whole episode of this on my podcast with Molly called Being Grounded, where we talked about skinny talk. So if you feel like you're falling into that, then I definitely recommend listening to that episode. Just block it all. We don't want it there. We don't want it here. Follow body positive influencers. Number 4, affirmations. I feel like affirmations are very, very powerful. I try to change my mindset and put it into the person that's already recovered instead of the person that is still going through it. So instead of saying I can't eat that, I will say I can eat that. Instead of saying I have, too much fat on my body or blah, 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 I will say my body is perfect just the way it is. Instead of saying that food is scary, I say that food is fuel. It is nourishing my body. Everything that you say, I want you to instantly switch it and see how that will change your mindset. I do this all the time, even with like negative thoughts. Just the minute something comes into your brain, instantly say the opposite of that, and keep saying the opposite of that until you can no longer hear the prior thing that you just said to yourself. The last thing I wanted to say before I end this video is that you are more than your eating disorder. You are more than that. It is not going to be your identity anymore. And you need to try and now find that new identity. Maybe you can't go back to the person that you were before you had that eating disorder, but you can definitely create a new version of yourself. What kind of things do you love? What are your passions? What are your new favorite foods? Because I know that I lost that definition of having a favorite food. I no longer even had one. In fact, my favorite food was salad for such a long time, even though that was never my favorite food before my eating disorder. But now I can say that I have favorite foods. I still love my salads and I still love my fruit, but I love other things as well. So you need to try and get yourself to have those favorite foods again. What do you love to do in your spare time? Like, now that you can bring back your identity, reshape it, allow yourself to be so much more. And it is going to be a hard journey. I'm not going to lie to you. And there will be times where that voice will come back, because it still comes back for me even to this day. But every time it does, you need to be louder. Be louder than that voice. Be so obnoxiously loud and annoying that that voice doesn't even want to be around anymore. You are gaining back yourself, your life, your identity. And that is something that you should be so proud of yourself for. So yeah, if you got to the end of this video, and tell me one thing that you learned, or one thing that you learned about yourself through your journey with your recovery. I just wanted to say that I'm so proud of you for clicking on this video today. I know it's not an easy thing to be upfront with your thoughts and your eating disorder, and to basically just be honest about the way that you're feeling. I can definitely say that this was not easy for me to record, and I don't feel like I shared everything that I wanted to share about my own experience and about the things I've learned. So if you would like a part 2 on any specific part about eating disorders and recovery and just your mindset about food, then definitely put it down in the comments below and I will make a video about that. I have made several videos about body dysmorphia on my channel that, like I said, the first video I ever made was about body dysmorphia. So again, if you want to watch those videos, I definitely recommend them. So I will see you next Sunday at 12 p.m. Bye bye, my lovelies.